Hello Intertubes, this is Froogle and back with another FSX video, and this time I really wanted to focus on Tapcheck. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little short flight here in this Piper Archer, Cherokee Archer 2, and we're going to fly from Walter Sutton's private airstrip down to Twin Oaks. All the scenery is Orbx, so Pacific Northwest, as well as Walter Sutton's custom airfield, and obviously Twin Oaks. So it shouldn't be a very long flight. I'm not very good in the Piper. I will try to do my best, but anyway, let's scroll down the list of checklist here. Excuse the bad camera there. And we're going to fly the Cherokee Archer 2. We're going to start at the beginning. So before starting
checklist. Brakes?
Alright, my brakes are not set. They are now.
Brakes set. Carburetor heat?
Now in this aircraft I couldn't actually find the carb heat button. I'm sure one of you in the comments will tell me I'm stupid and point out exactly where it is, but I really couldn't find it, so we're just going to say that carb heat is good. Full cold.
Carburetor heat full cold. Fuel selector?
Fuel selector is correct. In fact, I have a little bit too much fuel. I'm just going to go and adjust that right now. Bear with me. I don't know if you can see this. I think when the views change in FSX, sometimes Fraps doesn't pick it up. I'm going to go 50% of fuel, left and right tanks. And check that that updated, which it did. Alright, so fuel is on the desired tank, we have the right amount.
Fuel selector desired tank.
Alright, so let's do now starting engine.
Starting engine checklist. Throttle?
Throttle, it wants a 1/4 inch open, which is down there, so let's put that up.
Throttle 1/4 inch open. Master switch?
Master switch. On.
Master switch on. Electric fuel pump?
Electric fuel pump is on.
Electric fuel pump on. Mixture?
Let's put that full rich.
Mixture full rich.
Engage the starter.
Starter?
Yay! Let's let it just stabilize a little bit there. I'm going to adjust the volume in my headphones. It's very loud. I don't kind of want echoey sound coming out of the recording here. Okay, so that's good.
Starter engaged.
I'm
Throttle?
going to leave it right about where it is.
Throttle adjusted.
Oil pressure, is coming up to green.
Oil pressure checked.
Alright, taxi checklist.
Taxi checklist.
Chocks are removed.
Chocks? Chocks removed.
Taxi area.
Taxi area?
Looks pretty damn clear to me.
Taxi area clear. Throttle?
Yeah, we didn't stall as we applied the throttle slowly there.
Throttle apply slowly.
Alright, brakes off.
Brakes?
Let's go check the brakes. Yep, brakes are working.
Brakes checked. Steering?
Steering is working.
Steering checked.
Alright, so let's go down to the end of this runway. The Walter Sutton airfield is actually beautiful. It's another one of Orbx's custom airfields. It's a private airfield in Washington State, I think. Owned, I guess, by Walter Sutton. It's very bumpy. It's almost a dirt track. I am using AccuFeel as well, as you should. So let's just bump our way down to the end of the runway here. I'm using real weather. It's 7 o'clock in the morning here in Washington. I'm actually in Orlando, but you know what I mean. Here in Washington State, 7 in the morning, real weather. There's a little bit of a breeze out there. I see some birds in the sky up there as well. Very pretty. I actually didn't think I had birds turned on in FSX because they can be a bit of a drain, but there they are, and they look kind of pretty. Alright, let's just slow down a little touch here, not run into the fence. And there's my runway, such as it is, on the left. Now, as I said, I'm not very good with the Piper, with the Archer 2 here. I got this yesterday and was working through it. A lot of people using Tapcheck have asked to see Cherokee Archer 2 checklists. So I've been working through building this out prior to us updating the app early next week. Incidentally, when we update the app, it's going to go free. The checklist will still be charging for, so 99 cents per checklist, and the application itself will be free. Currently it's 99 cents. Some of you, that might not be a big deal. Some of you, I know it is a big deal. Alright, let's spin this puppy around. Try to get this in some semblance of lined up. Here. There we are. And let's do our run-up checks. Got a warning light because I came off the throttle completely, which is never a good idea in the Archer 2. Alright, so here we go, run-up checklist. Let's have a look.
Run up checklist. Throttle.
It wants 2,000 RPM on the throttle, so let's go ahead and do that. Now in the actual checklist I got, it didn't actually say set parking brake here, but I think I need to put that in.
Throttle 2000 RPM magnetos.
Right, we want to see a 175 drop. We're on both there. Left. Yep, there it goes. Or a max drop, I should say. Alright, we're all good.
Magnetos max drop 175 RPM vacuum.
Vacuum, I'm gonna say is good. Again, I couldn't see a vacuum gauge anywhere. Oh, there it is. There it is. 5 inches.
Vacuum 5.0 inch. Oil temp.
Getting a little hot, but that's normal.
Oil temp checked. Oil pressure.
Oil pressure is well in the green now, which is fantastic.
Oil pressure checked. Air conditioner.
Air conditioner is off.
Air conditioner
checked.
checked. Annunciator panel.
Annunciator panel. Yeah, that's all good.
Annunciator panel pressed to test. Carburetor heat.
Again, don't know where that is.
Carburetor heat checked.
Electric fuel pump off.
Electric fuel pump. Electric fuel pump off.
Now fuel pressure is still
Fuel
good,
pressure.
which means we're not just relying on a fuel pump, which is great.
Fuel pressure checked. Throttle.
Throttle retard.
Throttle retard.
Alright, before takeoff checklist.
Before takeoff checklist. Master
It
switch.
is on.
Master switch on. Flight instruments.
They're all good. Everything's good. I don't see any issues. I already set everything on the altimeter and stuff like that.
Flight instruments checked. Fuel selector.
Selector is just fine.
Fuel selector proper tank. Electric fuel
We
pump.
actually do need that on for the takeoff. Now you turn it off after takeoff as a safety measure.
Electric fuel pump on. Engine gauges.
So we're looking at fuel pressure, oil temp, fuel quantity. Yeah, we're all lovely.
Engine gauges checked. Carburetor heat.
Carb heat is off, let's say.
Carburetor heat off. Seat
Yep,
bags.
seat backs are all up.
Seat bags up. Mixture.
Mixture we're going to have is rich.
Mixture set. Primer.
Primer is locked. There it is.
Primer locked. Belts. Harness.
Yeah, I think I'm tied in.
Belts. Harness fastened adjusted. Empty seats.
Yep, they're all fastened too.
Empty seat belts fastened. Flaps.
Put one stage of flaps down here. There we go.
Flaps set. Trim tab.
I don't see a visual indication of the trim tab here. But it is set. I've set it on my joystick, or my yoke I should say, so that's good.
Trim tab set. Controls.
That's good there. That's good there. We know the rudder works because we just got here.
Controls free. Doors.
Doors are latched.
Doors latched. Air conditioner.
Air conditioner is off.
Air conditioner off.
Landing lights.
Landing
I'm gonna
lights.
Put the beacon on as well. There we go.
Landing lights on.
Here we go. Normal takeoff checklist. Now, so flaps are set.
Flaps set.
Trim tab.
Trim tab.
Again, it's set.
Trim tab set.
Accelerate to 52
Accelerate
knots.
to 52 knots.
And rotate.
Accelerate to 52 knots. Rotate.
And then we're going to go into
Climb
climb.
checklist.
Alright, here we go.
64 knots.
So 52 knots to rotate. And then we're into the climb checklist. Bumpy runway. Because it's a dirt track. It's 52 knots, rotate. Whoa, bumpy aircraft. There we go. So 64 knots, flaps up.
64 knots, flaps up. Electric fuel pump.
Wow, it's actually very bumpy here, and I need to trim the aircraft quite a lot, which is what I'm going to do right now. There we go. Electric fuel pump, we can turn that off now.
Electric fuel pump off. Landing lights.
And landing lights off.
Landing lights off.
So we just turn on course now. And so that's a course of about 215. We're going to climb up to about 3,500 feet so we can admire the scenery and make our way the 40 miles down to Stark's Twin Oaks. So as you can see, Tapcheck is pretty damn cool. This is a very simple aircraft, but even so, it's important to do the checklist, to do everything right, and it helps considerably. It's a little tricky for me to do it whilst filming it as well. I kind of have a camera strapped to my yoke here, pointed at my desk, which has the iPhone on it. But you get the idea, so apologies for the fuzziness when it occasionally goes out of focus. A little bit off course, actually. It is 2:15, but we turned a little late. Yeah, beautiful scenery. Love the Orbx scenery, as most of you who have seen my other videos are well aware. Not affiliated with Orbx. Not affiliated with Carenado. This is the Carenado Piper Archer 2, by the way, which I will show you in a second. Let me just reset track IR. There we are. Got a few questions on the last couple of videos. How do you move your head the way you do? That's track IR. It's an infrared emitter that's strapped to the side of my head, and an infrared receiver that is strapped to the side of my monitor. That's how that works. It lets me move my head, and as I move my head, it changes stuff in the plane. So here we go, coming up on 2,500 feet. As I said, we're going to level off at about 3,000, maybe 3,500 if we're going to do the proper VFR rules thing. I actually have a lot of problem trimming this aircraft. I don't know why. And it is a windy day. Pretty day though. There's the sun. Just came up an hour or two ago. When we get to Twin Oaks, I think we're going to land on runway 20. There's the right prevailing conditions to land on that runway, I think. Oh, bit of wind there. You see the aircraft move. I'm using also Rex 2 for real environment, so that's covering the clouds and covering the wind for me. All that good stuff. Here we go, 3,200. $3,300. Then we're just going to level off and go through our cruise checklist. I'll trim the aircraft and we'll pop outside and take a look. For those of you who are interested in seeing what the Carenado Piper Archer 2 looks like. Whoops, windy day. There we go, so let's just level that off right now. Trying not to chase the needles too much. It is a pretty responsive aircraft. I did find last night when I tried this out, having full tanks of fuel makes it unwieldy. Which is why I adjusted them at the beginning of this flight. Okay, so we're all good I think. Let's go into our cruise checklist.
Cruise checklist. Power.
Power should be max 75%, so there we are. It says 75% on my quadrant here, not in the cockpit.
Power set max 75%. Mixture.
Mixture I could probably leave rich. It'd keep the aircraft nice and cool, or the engine nice and cool. Don't see any reason really not to. Let's have a look what we got here. Yeah, oil temperature is pretty high already, so I'm going to leave it exactly where it is. And the next item is flaps. I actually have a bug fix for this,
Mixture set is
but I haven't
required.
deployed onto my phone yet. That's flaps up. We know that flaps are up already, and we're good.
Flaps up.
So there we go. Let's just jump outside after I put us back on course a little bit. There it is. There's the Archer 2 from Carenado. It's quite an old aircraft, I think. It's an update of their FS9 aircraft for FSX. It's pretty. Flies like a dream. It's just a little frisky. Not a bad aircraft at all. Yeah, beautiful scenery. If you don't have the Orbx scenery and you're into flying, you really should go get it. And again, I'm not in any way sponsored by fullterrain.com or Orbx. I'm just turning back on course here. Now the Archer actually has two descent checklists. It has a power off checklist and a power on checklist. I had a lot of problem actually getting the aircraft to run properly with the power on checklist. It wants full power, 125 knots descent, which I found a little tricky. which is why I'm keeping it at about 3,500 feet, so I don't have to do too much of a descent actually, and I'm going to ignore the descent checklist, which isn't the right thing to do, I know, but for the purposes of this video it works just fine. Let's just hold that on course. While it's doing that, it's actually drifting a little bit. There we are. Let me show you some of the other stuff in Tapcheck. So we're going to have a store. When it's updates next week, the store gets turned on. At the moment, it just asks you to drop us a note and tell us what you want to see. We've had quite a lot of requests for a number of aircraft, including the PMDG 737 NGX, which has been a bit of a bear for me to produce the checklist for. The way that we do the checklist, incidentally, is people ask for the planes. I go get the planes if I don't already have them. I work through the checklists that come with them. I work through checklists I find online as well. I tend to find a good mix of the two, and then that gets thrown into Tapcheck. We don't have the ability to add your own checklist to Tapcheck, simply because we want to maintain the quality of the app. And if you let other people add their own checklists in, and then everybody can download them, well, first of all, you risk getting a lot of Viagra stuff in your checklist, which isn't cool, right? And the second thing is, it's actually a pain to type in a long-ass checklist on a cell phone, so we didn't really want to put our users to that kind of pain. As I said, the checklists themselves, other than the 4 that are included, which are the 172S, the 152 at the top there, the Black Shark and the Warthog, other than those, the checklists are 99 cents, which we think is pretty good. You know, if you look at the PMDG 737 NGX, that's an $80 aircraft that I've had to spend tens, even maybe 100 or more hours in to get the checklist pulled together. You know, that's a huge amount of effort because we love doing it. But it didn't seem fair to just give it away for free. That makes sense. We're working with a couple of manufacturers as well. We've had some, I'm not going to say their name, maybe they don't want me to say it, but there is one kit aircraft manufacturer that reached out to us, and we're going to have their aircraft in Tapcheck very soon as well, which I'm looking forward to. That will be awesome. How far we got to go here? 26 miles to go. Alright, incidentally, oops. That was a ping from my tracking software. I'm actually using FS Commander, Flight Sim Commander, which is tracking my flight. And it's also tracking VATSIM, although I'm not logged into VATSIM, I kind of am. So I'm not using VATSIM air traffic control, but I am logged into VATSIM, and we can see the other aircraft using FS Commander, which is very, very cool. That's what that ping was. It was telling me I'm flying over the BTG Battleground Beacon, and it's time to start turning slightly, which is what we're doing. 25 miles to go. So yeah, the aircraft that are going to go into Tapcheck next week, we got the Skymaster going in, the Caravan right there, the OV-10 Bronco, and this Piper Cherokee Archer 2. And some of these checklists are immense. We go look at the Skymaster here, look. Before starting is 23 items, starting engine is 16 items. You go look at the Black Shark, it just gets crazy. Crazy, 78 items for the complex before startup checklist, which is pretty wild. But very useful, as those of you that fly the DCS aircraft know, there's a lot of things to do in those aircraft, and having a spoken checklist system helps considerably. Oh, I'm actually way off my altitude here, aren't I? I'm 300 feet too low. Let's go fix that real quick. The sun has peeked out of the clouds now on this wonderful spring morning in Washington State. Speed's not too shabby. I do have a problem managing the speed in the Piper. It's either too slow or too fast by a long shot. But again, that's probably just my inexperience with this aircraft. I prefer higher wing trainers like the Cessnas and heavier aircraft like the B-17, in fact. Not too used to flying something low wing and frisky, other than fighters, but we won't get into that. Come on, trim, 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 trim. There we are. It's a neat little aircraft. It's got a built-in fully functioning GPS system. There it is. It's basically a Garmin. It's kind of cool. Adds a little bit of technology to an otherwise very sparse cockpit. Alright, about to cross the river, which is our halfway point. We have 21 miles to go apparently. There we go. Now we're at the altitude we need to be at. So what I am probably going to do right about now is cut the video, and we will meet up again when we come in for a landing. And welcome back. We are 6 miles out now, so going to reduce some power, start working through this approach and landing checklist right here. Going to land on runway 20, which should be right in front of me. I kind of hate trimming this for a descent, I really do. There we go. Alright, so landing lights.
Landing lights on. Fuel selector.
There, fuel selector is set.
Fuel selector set. Seat bags.
Needs to be slightly to the right here. Seat backs are good.
Seat bags up. Belts and harness.
We're all good.
Belts and harness fastened. Electric fuel pump.
Electric fuel pump is now on as a safety measure.
Electric fuel pump on. Mixture.
Mixture rich. Set.
Mixture set. Flaps.
We're not at 102 knots yet, but I will start slowing this down some more. So do we get there? There's the runway right there off the nose. I think, I hope. So we're down beneath 102 knots, so flaps down.
Flaps set below 102 knots. Air conditioner.
Our air conditioner is off.
Air conditioner off.
It wants me to trim
to 75 knots.
Let's see what we can do. Going down at 2,000 feet. I'm a little bit too high actually. Probably need a more significant rate of descent. Problem trimming it down to 75 knots, so let's just say we did.
Trim to 75 knots trimmed.
Alright, and then we have the shutdown checklist after we're on the ground. Landing lights are on, we've got clearance since there's no air traffic control at Stark's Twin Oaks. I already told everybody where I am. I might as well now tell them that I am on final. Let's see if I can not noob this up. Like I said, not totally familiar with the Archer 2, so it might be a little rough. Let's drop some more power off this. Put another stage of flaps in there. Stark's Twin Oaks again is another custom airport from the Orbx catalogue. Beautiful little regional airport. I guess if you wanted the story here, I flew from Wall of Suttons because my Piper needed servicing, and they have someone who can do that here at Stark's Twin Oaks. So there you go, a little bit of roleplay flight sim for you. More flaps. Ooh. Bumpy, didn't it? Not the best landing in the world. I am running FS recorder, so we'll take a look. Boom. Not too bad actually. So let's start braking. And we will go taxi and do our shutdown. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Gotta get different brakes, I think. My toe brakes are a little bit ugh. Let's just tell everybody we're on the ground. There we are.
703 traffic, Neighbor Victor Hotel, Kilo Sierra Lima is clear of the runway.
And we'll go down to where the other Piper is, which is by the gas pumps up there. And we'll do our shutdown. And in our little story, then the mechanics will go to work and service our aircraft. There's the fuel station. There's the other Piper. And we will just put it by the tie down point over here and let them deal with moving it around. Right about there. Alright, let's put our parking brakes on and we'll go through this shutdown.
Shutdown checklist. Parking brake.
Parking brake is set.
Parking brake set. Flaps.
Yep, flaps are now all up, I think. Yep.
Flaps up. Electric fuel pump.
Electric fuel pump off.
Electric fuel pump off.
Air conditioner
conditioner.
off.
Air conditioner off.
Radios, you can't turn them off in
Radios.
this aircraft. I tried.
Radios off.
Throttle is full back.
Throttle. Throttle full back.
Mixture idle cut off.
Mixture.
Boom. There we go.
Mixture idle cut
Now
off.
magnetos to off.
Magnetos.
Bum, bum, bum.
Magnetos off.
And last of all,
Master switch.
master switch off. Once again, my name is Froogle. Thank you for watching. If you're interested in checking out Tapcheck, and please do, like I said, next week is going to be free. Right now it's 99 cents, but don't let that stop you. It's at monkeyfoot.com/Tapcheck. You can also search on the Apple iPhone App Store, and you'll find it there. Thanks for watching, guys. Cheers.